Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be taking my Monarchs. Now this is actually a very anti-meta deck, and a very notable deck to recognize in the new Link format while it's still early. Once Links start coming out and getting more fluid, this deck is still going to be interesting, but it shuts down the complete extra deck because this is the domain build. This is actually a really fun deck, and I know I feel the comments coming. Yes, hashtag I'm building a brick house. It's fine. A brick city. We're going to build a wall. It's fine. But this deck is actually going to be a lot of fun to play because of the amount of shutdown that it has, I guess you could say. It's a lot of fun and I really enjoy it. So let's get straight on into it. So first off, you're going to want to play 3 copies of Erebus, the Underworld Monarch. Now something that's interesting about all the big Monarchs, the Mega Monarchs as you will, they're the 2800 attack Monarchs, is that you can tribute summon them by distributing one monster that is tribute summoned itself, which is really interesting. And if this card is tribute summoned, you can send 2 Monarch spell or traps with different names from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, shuffle 1 card from your opponent's hand at random to their field or their graveyard into their deck, which is really cool. The other really cool thing about him is that once per turn during either player's turn, if this card is in your graveyard, so you actually get some graveyard plays off of this, you can discard 1 Monarch spell or trap card, then target 1 monster in your graveyard with 2400 attack and 1000 defense and add it to your hand, which is really nice because it lets you add your Karazas back to your hand, which is nice. Then we play 1 copy of Ether. Ether actually got taken to 1 because of how powerful it is. It kind of has the same effect that has to be tributed by tribute summoning a tributed monster, which is a lot of tributing right there. And it has the other effect that you have to send the spell or traps to the graveyard. But the interesting thing about it is that if it is, you can special summon, once it's tribute summoned, you can special summon 1 monster with 2400 or more attack or 1000 defense from your deck, but it return it to your hand during the end phase, which is really cool. The second effect of Ether is during your opponent's main phase, if this card is in your hand, you can banish 1 Monarch spell or trap from your graveyard immediately after this resolves, tribute summon this card. And this is a quick effect, which is really nice, and that's kind of why they took it to 1, was because of that really broken ass effect from Ether. But that's the light and dark-ish Monarchs. Then we play 1 copy of Thessalos, the Mega Monarch. We only play 2 Mega Monarchs in this deck, which is the form of a Thessalos, which you're not going to get his second effect off, so we're not even going to go into that. But what Thessalos does is when he's tribute summoned by tributing a tribute summoned monster is that you can look at your opponent's hand and then discard 1 card. And if it's a monster, you inflict damage to them equal to the monster's level times 200. So you can inflict to them as much as 2400 attack or 2400 damage if you discard a level 12 monster. Just noting. The other Monarch that we play is 1 Caius, which Caius is really good, and not a lot of people play him, but I like 1 Caius. Caius is really cool because when he's tribute summoned, you can actually get his second effect off where you tribute summon a dark monster. His effect is that when he is tribute summoned, you can target a card on your opponent's field and then banish it. And if you do, inflict 1000 points of damage to your opponent. Then, if it was a dark monster, banish all copies from their hand, deck, graveyard, and extra deck, and just banish them. So it can eliminate a really key combo card from their deck. So that's why I really like Caius. If you tribute summon him by tributing a dark monster, which we do play Vanity's Fiend in this deck, so you can do that, or with the Squire, you get to target 2 cards on the field instead of 1, which is nuts because he just banishes 2 cards right off the bat and it's just no problem anymore. And if you're playing against something that's like a dark deck or something like that, he just tears them apart. And you can return him to the hand with a couple of different effects, or if he goes to the graveyard, you can recycle him and get him effect off multiple times. Then you play 3 copies of Karaz, which is kind of the draw engine and the popping of the deck as well. When he's tribute summoned, or when he's normal or special summoned, which is note when he is special summoned, you can destroy up to 2 cards. Then the player that controlled those cards draws cards equal to the number of cards that were destroyed, which is cool because you can pop your own cards to draw more, which is nice. Then the other thing is he can't attack the turn he is normal or special summon, which kind of sucks, but whatever, it kind of balances him. Then we play 3 Vanity's Fiend because we hate special summons in this deck with a passion. Then the other cards I play are 3 of the Underworld Squires, which gives you an extra normal summon, and 3 of the Heavenly Squire, which special summons out our Underworld Squire. And they both have a couple of graveyard effects, but you get into those quite often as well, which you can banish the Underworld Squire, which is kind of cool because he has graveyard interaction, to special summon a another Squire, basically, which has 800 attack and 1000 defense from your graveyard, which is going to be your Ida. The Heavenly Squire is if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target one of your banished Monarch spell or traps and add it to your hand, which kind of rolls our Pantheisms back into our hand. And the last card that we're playing is 3 copies of Gofu, because you can use him quite often in this deck. To special summon him and then tribute the tokens and the stuff like that. I think you can tribute the tokens. No, they cannot be tributed, but you can tribute him, which is nice. And he just special summons Mountain, tribute him for Karaz, or tribute him for something like that, or Vanity's Fiend. But if he gets hit, you want to, I'll tell you a couple of cards to bump up in the deck instead of, you know, when you need to drop him. Because I foresee him getting hit before this profile maybe gets dropped. And if he does, I'm really sorry. But if he doesn't, play him at 3. That's all I got to say. But I'll tell you the cards to bump up to 3 if he does get hit. Okay, so that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. And we do play a crap load of spells. Okay, so we're playing 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army because it searches our Heavenly Squire and it searches just our Heavenly Squire. So it's like playing 4 copies of Heavenly Squire. Foolish Burial because some of our Monarchs get spell or trap effects. They get effects in the grave, so, you know, Foolish. Pantheism because it's a draw card. You send a Monarch spell or trap from your hand to the grave to draw 2 cards. Then you can banish it to reveal 3 Monarch spell or traps in your deck, and then your opponent picks one of them and adds into your hand. Which, if you're going to play it, you might as well just add your damn domain. Frost Blast, spell and trap removal, essentially. If you have a monster that has 2400 attack or more and 1000 defense, which is something to note, Vanity's Fiend does not trigger some of these cards, which kind of sucks, but we just deal with it. But you destroy the spell or trap, and then, or the set spell or trap, and then you can banish this card to target in 1 spell or trap that's a Monarch from your graveyard, then target 1 set spell or trap on the field to destroy it. So it's kind of like Twin Twisters almost. Sadly, only 1 Stormforth. It lets you tribute your opponent's monsters, which is nice on your opponent's turn. March, because if you get March plus Vanity's Fiend, your opponent's going to cry tears. Some serious tears. Tenacity. Oh, side note. This makes it so your tribute summon monsters cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is, they can't be targeted or destroyed. So it makes them Beals almost, but they can't be, you know, they can still be destroyed by battle, but they're big, so it doesn't really matter. 3 Tenacity. You reveal basically a Monarch in your hand to add a Monarch spell or trap from your deck, that's why you play a lot of these at 1, like March, and you can only play 1 Pantheism. But that's why I only play 2 Return, and this is one of the cards that I'm going to say, if Gofu gets hit, bump this up to 3 because it adds more consistency. You cannot, a lot of them say you cannot special summon from the extra deck, but that's not a big deal because we don't have an extra deck in this deck. But its effect is that when you summon a tribute summon a monster, you can either add from your deck to your hand 1 monster with 2400 attack and 1000 defense, or add from your deck to your hand 1 monster with 2800 attack and 1000 defense, with a different name from the tribute summon monster. And the tribute summon monster must remain on the field to activate and resolve the effect, which is fine. That's not a big deal. Domain. Domain is the key card of the deck. Domain is our win condition, essentially. If Domain gets hit, this deck is done. This deck is super done. I'm packing up the bags for it, which I hope it doesn't, but I will. Domain is when you control no card, or you have no cards in your extra deck, and the only player that controls a tribute summon monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from their extra deck. It's crazy. If a tribute summon monster you control attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 800 attack, which makes your Mega Monarchs 36 and your Little Monarchs 32, which is still huge, and that applies to vanities. And once per turn, you can reduce the level of one monster in your hand with 2800 attack and 1000 defense by 2, making it a level 6. So you can tribute summon them out with just any old monster. That's why I'm saying with, what's his name? What's his name? The Caius and the Little Squire. You can pull out this off. You activate this, normal summon the Little Squire, get an additional normal summon, then tribute it for Caius, then pop banish 2 cards. That's why Caius is crazy good. 2 allures, you can bump this up if Gofu gets hit, bump it up to 3 for more consistency, or add some trade-ins into this deck. Trade-in works too. But I just like 2 because I don't want to banish too many of my Monarch cards. But if you want to, bump it up to 3 if Gofu gets hit, but I kind of lean towards 2. 2 worked great for me. And then that's it for the spells. Let's get into the traps really quick. We only play a few traps. I think only 2. 2 different ones. The 1 copy of Monarchs Erupt. This card is nuts. If Gofu gets hit, bump this up, bump this, return, and allure up to 3. Or this up to 2, and then the other 2 up to 3. But Erupt is crazy. It's basically like a walking skill drain. You can activate this card only if you control no cards in your extra deck, and you control Tribute Summon Monster. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field except Tribute Summon Monster. So it's a skill drain. This plus Domain plus any Monarch is instant death for your opponent. It's pretty much instant death. I mean, they can't recover from that. They just can't. It's so tough to come back from an Erupt and hell, even activate this and a March and a Domain and any Tribute Summon Monster, and you can search all the crap, so it's easy to get. And then we play 2 Monarch, the Prime Monarch. Basically lets you summon it as a token if it's in the graveyard by banishing another Monarch spell or trap. And then once per turn, if it's on the field and you activate it, you can target 2 Monarch spell or traps and shuffle them into the deck and then draw a card. But you can banish that 1 Monarch spell or trap. Summon this as a token, level 5, 1000 attack, 2400 defense. Really good card. Lets us summon our Monarchs ridiculously easy. But yeah, that's the Monarch deck. I really enjoyed this build. It's a lot of fun. But like I said, really quick recap. If Gofu gets hit, bump this up to 2, this up to 3, and bump this up to 3. Bump this up to 3. Or play some trade-ins or something like that in that, vicinity. But you want to play like 2 of these if Gofu gets hit, because it's going to help out the deck so much. But anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. I'm getting really messy over here. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to join DarkArmedAlliance down in the description below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what you think. I always like hearing from you guys and hearing what you guys have to say about the decks. And I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to build your brick houses, guys.